Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kachat. It's the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars? I'm Lucas Southworth.
And I'm a bit bitter.
It's true, I wouldn't let him intro the episode this week, and I edited out when he tried to. So he's John Bishop.
And this is the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with Cars 3?
Specifically this week, that is what we're doing. Sometimes we do it in other episodes, just, bits and pieces. But we're doing a deep dive into Cars 3 because we did watch it again.
Mm-hmm. And did we do what good old Travis McElroy did, which is watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 and then realize that he wasn't going to be recording that episode for a week and then watch it immediately before again?
No, I watched it a week ago and then didn't watch it again.
And I did the same.
Also, we watched Cars 3, not Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. At least I did.
Oh, no.
Ah, jeez,
John. Oh, no.
Guess we could talk about the segue.
What about the banana?
You know, I've actually seen Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Just because two of my friends from college thought it would be funny to go see Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 in theaters. And it was.
Hilarious.
It was funny that we did it to us. It was not a funny movie. And looking back on it, it's not a funny story. So let's talk about Cars 3 instead. John's right. It has been a week since we watched this one because we were going to do this episode last week, but then decided we weren't going to do that because we wanted a week off. And also we couldn't get together in time.
And also Thanksgiving. And also just everything was happening.
Everything was happening. It's important to know that everything was happening. So I'm interested in our energy this week because I've already looked at my notes I took last week, and there are a few I don't know what they're talking about, but hopefully we can figure it out together, John.
And I was hopeful that we would record the episode sooner, so I didn't write notes down.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, folks, it has been 101 episodes since our last rewatch, so I think it's important that we do this every once in a while. Do you agree, John? To go back and watch the movies?
It's definitely not the worst idea of all time.
Yeah, that's very true. There are definitely shows that watch the movie a lot more, that they talk about a lot more than we do.
And like, if I were to do it every episode, I would say that was like too many times. Like that'd be Cars too many times.
I do miss Cars too many times. If you're out there and you're listening, I did listen to all your episodes and they're very good, and I would love to hear more of them. But that's all we're talking about. We're talking about Cars 3. And we should start doing that. I don't know why we keep preambling about it. So, my first note is, how'd his tires do that? And this is one that perplexed me at first.
Great question. It happened multiple times. What on earth is happening? Because here's the thing. You inflate your tires too much. What happens? Do they become big old fun balloons? Or do they just explode? The answer is they explode. Sometimes, if you're lucky, instead of exploding, a ballooning will happen in a very specific area, and it looks very strange, but it definitely does not look like that.
We are referring, of course, to a prank that was played on two cars throughout this movie, in which they overinflated their tires, and instead of, as John said, they exploded, they just got weird and big and looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know how the tires do that.
See, even what you said seems inaccurate. Do they overinflate the tires? Because, like, who would have done it? Because there wasn't something attached to them, and it all happened at the same time.
If I remember right, Guido was the one who did it to the car in the beginning. But I don't, it's not there. I don't remember a
The car
tank.
was Lightning McQueen.
I don't know, man.
And I think the crew was like, it was, shoot, I can't remember his name, but Blue Friend. I think Blue Friend was leaving, and it was, oh, haha, me and my crew are leaving now after we've inflated your tires all at the same time without you noticing, and also without attaching anything to you.
So, that to me, the fact that specifically they all inflate at the same time would imply to me that they're somehow attached in a way to the cars that they're not in our world, you know?
But if that were true, why would they have to change tires individually?
No, yeah,
Not even have to. Why would they be able to?
yeah, that's the issue is that in all other circumstances it certainly seems like tires are just tires.
Mm-hmm. Even when they're doing the whole, each of your tires, name them. You must become one with your tires. They are a part of you. You are a part of them. Without you, your tires are useless. Without your tires, you are useless. Like that whole meditative state, she just takes those tires right off of him.
Yeah, she sure do. I don't know that we're going to come up with anything for this one. I think it was a cartoonish effect that they used in a cartoon.
I mean, sure, but our job is to figure out what that is.
Maybe, okay, maybe what happened is they didn't just overinflate their real tires. Maybe after the race is over, they get one final pit stop to change them back into like their everyday tires.
Hmm.
And someone paid off whoever changed the tires to change them into weird balloons. And he hadn't moved since this happened. Otherwise, it would be devastating.
Okay. Maybe, maybe it's something like that. But maybe it's there's a chemical that someone poured into these tires before they were put back on a Lightning McQueen, and as soon as Lightning puts them on and starts moving, it starts mixing the compound and causes the reaction. And it's a time release thing where it's like, okay, once it mixes, you have about 2 minutes before all of a sudden everything's going to react. And what it does is it makes the rubber thinner or more pliable, and it also causes like a rapid expansion in heat. And that's just what happened. It's just, oh, I played a fun prank on you where I made a volcano reaction, but in your shoes.
That doesn't seem like it would be very fun to me.
I mean, whoopee cushion under a seat, chemical reaction.
I think that's more of a physical reaction, isn't it? Just
It is.
okay.
Uh, Someone puts a Mentos and Coke bottle set up in your toilet, so when you sit down, it drops the Mentos. Big ol' mess.
Now that yeah, I would be very mad about that.
Especially if for some reason you're on the toilet during an interview.
Yes, there we go. John, I think when we did our Cars 2 rewatched, we started with like basic thoughts about the movie and rewatching it. Do you want to do
Mm-hmm.
that or save that till the end?
Sure. Uh, like further the Till Death Do Us Blart comparison of every time we're gonna do a rewatch, we're gonna reassess our feelings and say how this watch affected us emotionally. And this time is all right. It was nice because of the situation I put myself in while watching it. And that is, of course, I have my new kitten and I have my child, and it was the first time they both watched Cars 3.
Oh, that's a huge milestone.
And if you're wondering, what do you mean watched Cars 3? Like, did he watch it the whole way? No, neither of them. The kitty was mostly asleep, and the boy got fussy pretty early on and did not watch a lot of it.
Well, you're gonna put that right in the scrapbook along with first steps, first words, first solid food. First watch of Cars 3 is big, man. I'm very happy
Mm-hmm.
for you.
And if you're wondering, no, he has not seen Cars 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? First watch of Cars or Cars 2, but Cars 3, You're going to
Yeah,
be telling that story for years.
especially since like I'm showing my baby this scathing criticism of how society reacts to aging.
Yeah, that is one way to look at Cars 3.
I'm gonna look at my boy and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you're gonna replace me one of these days.
And that's okay.
You are the manufactured superior being."
Yeah, I'll say similar to John. It's fine. It's better than Cars 2. Similar to Cars, original Cars. I go back and forth whether I think Cars or Cars 3 is better. This round of rewatches, I would say I think Cars is a little better.
Hmm.
I think I noticed a few things. Like, I think more of my notes than usual are just like plot and writing notes, which it isn't a ton, but like a few of them are. And like,
Ah,
usually I'm so caught up in the nonsense that I don't have time for that. But there were just a few things that I was like, I don't think this little plot line really works very well.
yeah,
But
I wouldn't describe Cars 3 as a no-nonsense film, but when you compare it to Cars 2, it absolutely is.
oh yeah, like this this movie is like Citizen Kane compared to Cars 2.
Oh boy. Okay, so you got your first note is what's up with the cars. Um, I think my note is my first note is why are they so mean to the new Dynaco spokesman?
Yes, not Strip Weathers, Cal Weathers.
Cal Weathers. Yeah, why are
Yes.
they such a jerk to him?
I don't know. It didn't.
Hey Lightning, you want anything and everything, I will fire Cal in a heartbeat. Even if you ask me for a cup of coffee, I will fire Cal just because I don't know, will that please you?
I mean, I guess it was to show how much Tex wants Lightning on Dynaco,
Mm-hmm.
like still does from the events of Cars 1. But like, yeah, they were overly mean to Cal, who won some races in that opening sequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. He's the king's nephew, I think they said, because he references his uncle a couple of times. So I don't know. When you're compared to someone that's literally referred to as the king,
Mm-hmm.
you're not in a good position to start with.
And let's also talk about the fact that he's not too old. Like you talking about Lightning McQueen, who was a rookie and like started off when King was just about to retire, and that means that the next season or two might have been when Cal shows up, but also they don't depict it as that. It seems like Cal showed up somewhere in between probably Cars 2 and Cars 3. So it had been several more years even. So he's probably halfway through his career. And then he's all like, "Yeah, the kids will tell you." What do you mean the kids will tell you? You just stopped being a kid.
Well, I guess the kids told him that.
Okay, okay. Poor guy.
I don't know. This is always both of our critique of this movie, right? Is it's treated like such a bad thing. Progress in general is treated like a bad thing, except for Cruz Ramirez at the very end.
It's treated like uh progress has to be cruel.
Yeah,
It has to be at the expense of someone else. When that is the case in some ways, but like those ways are like government. If we want progress, we need to get rid of people who will not be affected by the things they enact.
yeah, like the line read of how will you know when it's time to retire? The kids will tell you didn't have to be a sad line. Like there's a version of that line that is read like with hope for the future, you know? Like it is a good thing that the kids are there to take your place when you're done.
And also, from what I understand, retirement is nice.
Yeah,
You
you're
don't have to work anymore.
and like these are people who are deeply passionate about what they do. Sure. Why not? So they would be a little sad that they're being replaced and that they're being aged out.
But also, if I'm Cal, no. this business is treating me poorly and I don't like it. I'm trying to live up to my uncle's reputation, and I'm constantly reminded that I'll be fired at the drop of a hat if Lightning McQueen just gets the itch that he wants to change companies. I'm probably going to be happy to be leaving this industry. And also, if I'm like one of the top three when I stop, I mean, going out relatively on top, I'm going to be retiring happy. I'm going to be retiring satisfied. And I'm going to be pretty happy with just, oh, well, now I'm a wealthy man who's retired fairly young.
Yeah, like I don't know. We talk about this every time we get upset with Cars 3. It just is so tonally inconsistent. And
Mm hmm.
it's okay for these people to be sad that they're leaving the sport. Sure.
Mm hmm.
But for everyone to be treating it as like, oh, these kids coming in to replace you is disrespectful and cruel, and everyone should be deeply sad about it, and it's a affront to God that they're using science and numbers to become better, to push this sport further. Like, I don't know, that just irks me every single time, and it irks Bella too.
Mm hmm. She is just pissed. Oh boy. Okay. So one thing I noticed during this watch is that, I mean, it's something I almost respect, but they really didn't want there to be a bad guy in this movie, but they wanted there to be antagonists.
Hmm.
So, like, Jackson Storm, he's just a dick. Like, until the assault near the end, he's just a dick. And then Sterling, also just a dick. Like, they're not actually bad guys. One of them is a wealthy guy who purchases the rights to someone's image and then tries to preserve the value of that purchase. And he's portrayed as if he's this terrible guy because he wants the person to not tarnish their reputation after poor performance after poor performance. Yeah, he's just trying to preserve his investment. And I get that you can't treat people as investments in that form or fashion, but that's also a part of the industry. Like, as unfortunate as it may be, that man wasn't making bad choices. Maybe immoral ones, but not bad ones.
Yeah, like both Jackson and Sterling are bad people. Like, especially when we see how Sterling treats Cruz towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they're not your typical. Like, there's no mustache twirling in this movie. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like
And there was a lot of that in the first and second, but the mustache was a lot more literal in the first one.
that's true. Jackson Storm is no Chick Hicks until he very much is when he rams a person into a wall. Uh,
Yeah, and the weird thing about that is Jackson Storm, he only rams the person into the wall because he's like having to reassess his entire value system in a weird way. And they made him a complex character just before doing that. It was, oh, he's afraid of not understanding the world he's in because his values are being shaken because an older car is starting to be able to beat him, and also this tiny car which, like, if we're talking numbers, has a smaller engine in a way that would affect it from being as capable. Like, scientifically, this doesn't make sense because they're cars.
yeah,
So, like, in the context of cars, yeah, he would be freaking out. So it makes sense for him to freak out. It's not okay for him to act in the way he does as he's freaking out, but it, like, you can understand why he's freaking out.
and it does help to know, if we go to another note here on here, that you gotta remember Jackson Storm is a gamer.
Hmm. A
Like,
gamer who is doing this because he has to.
yes, I think at this point he had broken free from his horrible sponsor and was now doing it of his own volition. But yeah, just at several points in this movie, Jackson would come on screen, and I would physically say out loud, "He is a gamer,"
Hmm.
just to make sure I remembered from that one piece of just absolutely incredible news we got from the autobiography we did on him and Sterling.
Mm-hmm. And it really drives home that he's a gamer and that being a gamer is why he's acting the way he is. When you know he's a gamer, and then you show up in this movie, and then all of a sudden, oh, he's being a dick, and then he immediately gets into his car to listen to music that's far too loud, and he's really into like glowing lights and neon, and
Yes.
boy howdy, his entire aesthetic is gamer. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just really uncomfortable around people and he doesn't know how to behave, and he's socially awkward, doesn't know how to express himself in the right ways, and he likes his music and his general setting to be saturated in color and light.
Since we're jumping around a little bit, I want to go ahead and do another one of my little plot notes I had was that I think Jackson's like general way he treats lightning is pretty well established of like, hey, he's doing this because he's a dick and condescending to this man, etc., etc. But I felt like Jackson and Cruz needed a bit more background to their relationship.
Oh yeah, him treating her that poorly would make a lot more sense if you saw any of them interacting with him being trained by her and like not liking it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
no, they don't get that. They don't get the establishment that would be necessary for him to be upset by this situation.
Yeah.
It's just he's upset that she's a smaller car and that an older car was just doing really well too. Like, oh, I don't understand what's going on here. But why is he so like why has he got so much animosity specifically towards her?
Yeah, that was going to be my exact suggestion. It's so easy to have early in the movie Cruz just mention being Jackson's former trainer and like look off sort of like in a way that implies something like a rocky relationship with him and have that pay off somewhere a little bit later in the movie with another line between them and that be what's fueling them hating each other, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But I will say him being a gamer does make it make more sense because maybe he just hates that she's a woman.
Yeah. So what if it was they had a relationship in the past and she wanted to race and he just thought that was a ridiculous notion? And then, like, there was a situation, and it's a she's all that situation where they race and she wins and he's mad about it and he doesn't want any of his friends to tease him about it. So he says, "Oh, yeah, of course I let her win." And then
Mm,
that's where this I can't let this woman beat me on front of live television. Like maybe that's where it's coming from.
I like that too. I think either of those work. I just think like because they had established Jackson as like not that mustache twirly, just sort of a dick of a guy,
Hmm.
the switch to him physically attacking Cruz needed a bit more to make it work in the movie.
And I think this is just a situation where you and I consider assault to be a much bigger deal than the people in Cars do.
I mean, clearly, you're absolutely right. That clearly it's not that big of a deal.
Because it happens on television often. In a huge race, you see it happen with good old Chick Hicks. You see it happen to Doc Hudson. You see it happen to Cruz Ramirez. It happens all the time, and it's clearly not like illegal. It's clearly not even banned in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, again, we went to the Crazy Eights at Thunder Hollow in this movie, you know? Like,
Hmm.
violence is viewed differently here in a way that I don't think you and I still have a grasp on.
Yeah, she threatens to murder Lightning McQueen, and people cheer for it. And I mean, I understand that that could happen in our world where people are just a violent, crazy mob. But typically, if it were then aired and the attempt were made, then charges would be pressed.
Yeah,
But I guess not.
I guess not. Okay, I have another note, which is why is this sudden with three question marks? And I believe I'm referring to just the advent of next generation racers.
Oh yeah. Why is it there is one, he does well in a race, there is three in the next race, and then they do well, and all of a sudden everyone's been replaced by next gen racers.
Yeah, like why hasn't this just been a thing slowly being incorporated into more and more cars and their training regimens and how they're built? Like since Lightning has started, why is it flips a switch and oh, now everyone in the sport has been replaced except Lightning McQueen.
I think it's to parallel certain things in sports that are like real and weird. Like there's a specific kind of shoe that people are trying to ban from racing because this type of shoe, it's like scientifically a better shoe. So people are able to now run sub 2 hour marathons because of this shoe. And it's weird because some people can't afford that kind of shoe.
Yeah.
So it's blocking off the ability of some people to race as effectively. But also, if you can afford it, you want these shoes.
Yeah, but I guess my thing is in our world, like I'm sure there were leaps in technology that slowly got us shoes closer and closer to that shoe, you know? It wasn't like we're all walking around in like Chuck Taylors trying to run 26 miles in those little flat-footed suckers. And then all of a sudden we've got this super shoe that you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, it just felt weird. It just felt weird.
It's almost like the oh shoot, I can never remember what it's called, but it's the gray matter event where technology starts advancing so fast that it all of a sudden gets to a point where everything just is too advanced and we can't stop it from doing anything anymore.
Yeah.
it's it's like that with, oh, the more population, the more people, the more all of these things, the faster things will advance in drastic and significant ways. So like you get a bunch of people together, scientific advances are going to happen faster and faster, and then all of a sudden it's just one iteration is going to be the next thing. It's like PUBG. Like you play PUBG and then it gets really exciting. Oh, this is cool. And then it's like not great. And then all of a sudden Fortnite takes it and runs with it. And now everything is Fortnite. Like everything is this free to play, but you can pay for skins. Everything is a battle royale style game. They're just everywhere. And it's just, okay, yeah, video games existed before this. PUBG existed before Fortnite. But as soon as Fortnite did it, everyone was like, "Oh, this is fantastic. Let's do this. Everybody, let's just do the same thing."
Yeah, I guess I get what you're saying in terms of like if they see maybe this was seen as like a fringe way of training, like it hadn't been proven yet, you know.
And clearly, there were plenty of that style of car, and they were just ready to get in.
Yeah, it's like the movie Moneyball. Like
Mm.
so the Oakland Athletics, they weren't the first ones to do it dramatically as it happens in the movie Moneyball, but
Mm-hmm.
started using statistics and what are called sabermetrics to plan their team in a radically different way than any other team in baseball, and they found really incredible success doing that, and now everyone does it. So they just needed one competitor to prove it could work, and then everyone's clamoring for it. So I guess I could see how that would work, but it
Mm-hmm.
still felt a little sudden.
Yep. And it's just we have to assume that there was this building thing in the background that just wasn't approved yet or wasn't like gaining what it needed, and Jackson Storm was the thing that made it popular.
Okay, I can dig that. John, how'd they build the racing center so fast?
I had a similar question in mind,
Yeah.
and my immediate thought was, and it wasn't exactly that, I approached it differently in my mind of, boy howdy, this is a lot of money spent on this racer you're about to retire.
Yeah.
Like just the 95 was just this huge monument, and I was just thinking, okay, this is probably a situation where this building already existed,
Mm.
and then they just added some like flavor, and those that big 95 is probably something that's designed to be temporary, and all of this is just okay, how can we flavor it to flatter Lightning McQueen? Because obviously we're not going to do this whole building, this everything for one racer, because there were already like 3 racers there.
Yeah, I could see Sterling already was invested in racers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like he built this place as his own and then got the opportunity to acquire the rights to sponsor Lightning, or I don't exactly know how that works. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but and then I maintain that I think Sterling is a genuine huge Lightning McQueen fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he had all this. I think it wasn't designed to be taken down. I think it was like if you acquired the rights to Michael Jordan, you know, somehow, like
Mm-hmm.
in your training center, you'd put a big shrine to Michael Jordan, the greatest the sport has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
like,
if you've got Mud Flap Training Center, you're gonna rename it.
yeah, Rusty's isn't much better, but
Yeah, but hey, it's the brand associated with Michael Jordan,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Real
like
quick,
the Looney Tunes Training Academy.
now that, ooh, is if Bugs Bunny was there, that would be worth it. I could go finally unleash my potential on the court.
Or
Uh,
either of the Michael Jordans.
yeah, I guess yeah. Real quick, talking about Rusty's has reminded me of a quick anecdote. So Liz and I did Disney trivia the other night for the first time since the pandemic, and we were going to go with another couple, some friends we have up here, but they could not come with us, and so it was just the two of us versus 30 teams, most of which ranging 4 to 8 people, and of course we tied for first 99% because of my girlfriend Liz and her encyclopedic knowledge of all things Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one Cars question.
Okay.
And out of around 30 teams, only 2 got it right. So I want to see if you got it, John. If you would have got us tied for first, or if you were there instead of me, you and Liz would have been in second
Mm.
outright. So the question is, Lightning McQueen's sponsor, Rusty's, sells a certain product. What is the 3-word name of their product?
Lubricated bumper ointment.
Oh, John. Medicated bumper ointment.
No! Medicated,
No.
because uh, lubricated's an actual car thing. Medicated is what they say.
Medicated sent us into a spiral for a while in our Rusty's episode.
Yeah, yeah. I said lubricated because it just felt right. But if it feels right, it's not Cars.
Man, that could be our new slogan.
It's the reason so many people have these sorts of questions about the Cars franchise. It's just because it feels wrong.
Yeah, like as we've said, we could do this about any number of movies that have like logic that we don't see, but like Toy Story, while if you think about it it's weird, it feels correct. It feels like they've made an internally consistent world that you don't need to question. Cars doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, yeah. Cars feels like, hey, let's take the real world and then let's just turn it around and let's just chop and screw and do whatever we think will make it funny. Sure.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I was confident and lubricated.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. But I am going to kick you off the podcast. We can
That
finish
is fair.
out this episode, but send in your applications to thechat@gmail.com for replacing one John Bishop.
Well, I do have an heir now, so he could take the throne.
Oh, there we go. He has seen some of Cars 3.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Okay. Cruz says that Lightning has flabby tires,
Mm-hmm.
which I think, I don't know exactly how, but that connects to whatever happened with the overinflated tires earlier in this movie.
Or,
Or,
oh boy, I got nothing. So like the difference between wheels and tires, if he's got flabby tires and not flabby wheels, that's
almost certain she said tires.
yeah. So like I would imagine flappy would just mean that he would need to get new tires.
Flabby tires to me sounds like your tires are a little underinflated.
Yeah, and like no matter what it means, tires are easily replaced.
Or if it's my thing where you're just tire pressure isn't good, just put a little bit more air in there, bud.
Mm-hmm. Put in a little bit more air, bud.
You know, that would improve a lot of movies if they put in a little more air, bud.
I will say, of all the sports that a dog could do really well at in any sort of fashion, I don't think being a race car is one of them.
Yeah, I don't. I think like Airbud Pitbull Stop. Uh, I don't think it would go over well. I am incredibly proud of that name I came up with that quickly, though.
Now all you have to do is just call it Airbud Pit Stop with 2 T's.
Yeah, or Pity Stop, because some people call pit bulls pitties.
Yeah, but that's also pit crew. That's what they're called. They're pitties.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, yeah. Is there an Airbud that's just him doing track and field?
I don't think so, just because that one would be boring.
It would be.
He doesn't even play with the ball in that.
All it is, hey, a dog can run faster than a person. That's not surprising.
Yeah, I know. that yeah, I actually I actually really love the idea of him taking Airbud to the track and field meet, and they say like, no, actually we do have rules in the rule book that say a dog can't do this, because it would make sense that a dog would be better at us than this. Like
Hmm.
basketball, they never expected it. Football, how could he do it? But track and field, we anticipated this, and we
We actually
actually
saw that
do.
one coming.
There actually is a rule that says a dog can't play track and field.
Well, actually, the rule only says track, and then you see the dog doing shot put.
And they're like, no, absolutely, you're absolutely right. We didn't expect he could do that, and this is fun, so go ahead. Did that dog just pole vault? Okay, we got a movie now.
Dog grab big stick, dog run, do good jump.
I bet he would do a good jump. Airbud's very talented.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So these cars, they have to deal with racism and sexism, and that's hard enough to conceptualize because they're just cars.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the question:
Okay.
are girl cars smaller on average?
I don't know.
Because a weird connection that they're making in this movie is that the thing that everyone says is the reason that Cruz can't race is that she's small. And this is, I'm going to throw this out there, is going to be rude. There are things that small people aren't as good at,
Yeah.
namely things that require height, things that are made better by height. Like, there's a reason that people in the NBA are typically very tall. It's because it provides a strong, strict, and obvious advantage. Are there some people that are fairly short? Comparatively, yeah, but they are very exceptional. And, like, sure, a short person doing a sport that is primarily for tall people, like, you shouldn't be disallowed,
Yeah.
but, like, you can't conflate that with sexism. Because if you're attaching those two, you're being sexist.
Yeah, I don't know what they are implying with Cruz. That's another issue I've always had with this is like on surface level it does an okay job telling a story about privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, I will always compliment the line
I never thought I couldn't.
yeah, like how did you know you could do it? I never thought I couldn't is like a really actually like profound little line about
Mm-hmm.
the privilege Lightning McQueen has over Cruz. But I don't know what they're implying the privilege is. Like it might be sexism because we don't see any other female racers in the current day. Like we have a big sequence with Louise Barnstormer Nash, who is like obviously a huge inspiration for Cruz, but like I don't know. I don't know if it's has to do with like like if she was born like poor, or if like she never had the economic means to go through training like Lightning maybe did, or if it's like a pure car thing. If she is saying you have privilege because you were born a race car, I am not a literal race car. Like it's just it's muddy.
Mm-hmm. It's muddy and made worse by commentary that they don't say and do imply. They imply that it's because she's a woman. They state that it's because she's small, and they imply that it's also because she's poor, because she's treated poorly by a wealthy person because of her station and all that. She says that she had to save up all her pennies,
Yeah.
and her family constantly reminded her that she needed to dream small or not at all.
Yeah, like she is a car that can go 200 miles an hour.
Yes.
Like I again,
Even if she's not a race car, she's essentially a race car.
yes. Again, surface level, I think they do a pretty decent job telling a story about privilege, but like it's just confusing to think about too much,
Yep.
and that makes it a less good story about privilege.
Yep. If thinking about something makes it worse, then in a lot of ways, in a lot of mediums, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Ah, boy.
While we're doing plot notes, I'll go ahead and throw out another one I had.
All they had to do was chop off her muffler.
Yeah, and then she sounded like a race car, and she's like, "Oh, cool."
And then
That's
she, like, that's one of the things is she heard all of the other ones revving their engine. So yeah, just you have a muffler. Of course you can't fart as loud. Why is that intimidating? Uh,
yeah,
I guess that's an implication of, oh, it's a boys' club because farting is impressive. And there's also she had a spoiler added, and she was teased about that. But all she had to do to become more of a race car is have the muffler removed and a spoiler added. She's basically a race car.
yeah. I don't know. Also, one thing I want to mention is like in the current cut of the movie, it sure feels like Cruz Ramirez is a bad trainer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and like I know what they were going for with the way she was training Lightning. They were going for Lightning was just horrendously injured and is an old man. He needs to work his way up to stuff. But like they just needed more evidence that that was true, you know? They
Mm-hmm.
needed like some like it would have made it real messy to have a doctor come into this, but maybe a doctor saying, "No, Lightning, you need to do some physical therapy, some rehabilitation, or this will just happen again and
Mm-hmm.
worse." Like in the current thing, it just makes Cruz look like she has no idea what she's doing.
Yeah, and I know there's the whole you have to walk before you can run, but that doesn't mean you have to crawl before you walk.
Yeah,
Like, sure, for babies that is literal, but for Lightning, why did she have him going 5 miles an hour?
yeah, like they
That is a
just
human, like, brisk walk.
and like I know that we had so many problems with there being a permanent mechanical issue with Dusty Cropopper in Planes Fire and Rescue, but they just needed some lasting impact of the crash. Like
Mm-hmm.
some evidence, like some wince in him when he tries to go more than 5 miles an hour.
Or
Or,
heck, the whole you're a fluffy cloud because he was tightening up. That could have been his thing. It
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have to
yeah.
be Cruz that needed to relearn her own message. It could have simply been, "Oh, hey, your problem when you crashed was you started shaking too much because you were too tight, and it's because you were frustrated and you were doing that. And now you've got a shake every time you go too fast because you're afraid it's going to happen again." Just have her teach him that, because
Yeah,
one of the biggest problems with what you're pointing out is that she's not a great trainer, is that she learns from him like everything, even
yeah.
her own lessons. She doesn't teach him, he teaches her.
We're really going in on Cars 3 this episode, which let me tell you, I enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. It's why would you have a character who's supposed to be a great trainer and they don't do any great training?
Yeah. But on a lighter note, Cinderella's pumpkin carriage is in the background of Sterling's office. It's like a trophy, but it's very clearly Cinderella's carriage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe we could do an episode on that. It's a magical carriage. Is that anything? It was made from a living thing in a pumpkin.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll get to it. We'll get to it if we
What
gotta get
happens
all
to
the
the
way to
horses?
fall 2022.
Yep, horses though.
The horses were mice, so
Mm-hmm.
there's that. Sentient mice, and Cinderella named Gus, Gus, and Jock.
All right. What's your next note?
My next thing is that the crazy we went like really into detail about how the Mad Max cars from the promotional images for Cars on the Road are wild. But then
Mhm.
I watched the demolition derby scene in Thunder Hollow, and I was like, this isn't that different from those images. She's got a rotating saw blade attached to her.
Mm-hmm. She is a school bus that happily worked with the school district and now professionally maims and maybe kills people.
Yeah, I did want to know, are those cars just unconscious when they get knocked down? Are they unable to get up or move? How do we determine when there are only two people left, like they say?
Well, I couldn't say because if we say it's just that they can't move, then that's weird because guess what? She couldn't move and then she moved again.
Yeah,
That seems unfair. And it was over 10 seconds. So what's the rule on that? And also, lightning was counted out even though he was still moving.
and he was still upright,
Yep.
importantly.
He did have the whole tire was burst, but like he was still moving.
There's a car who's bent at like a 45-degree angle in this. Like,
Mhm. Like what is no longer able to move? What is no longer upright? What is none of this seems consistent with itself. It's just blood sport for the sake of blood sport, which brings me to why did they give the trophy to Cruz? It didn't mean anything.
yeah, I guess it was purely a last one standing situation, but I don't know. She certainly didn't take out any of the other ones.
And also, Lightning was standing.
Yeah. They did it so they could have lightning break it and then fix it and then it be a sentimental object she has. But other than that, I don't know, man.
Okay, I got nothing for it.
Yeah. This is maybe the tiniest thing I've got so far, but there's a character introduced in this one called Natalie Certain,
Mm-hmm.
who is a statistician.
Who weirdly gets off on numbers and then gets off on defying numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
She's weirdly into the whole, that is weird. That shouldn't have happened. Huh.
Yeah, but like I think my thing that it just bothered me. She said that Jackson Storm had like a 95% chance of winning the race and Lightning had a 1.2% chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said the phrase numbers don't lie, implying that Jackson would win the race. But like, I don't know, as a statistician, you've just told us there's a chance he'll lose.
Yep.
Like, we all learned a hard lesson when we were all looking at 548.com in 2016 that told us Donald Trump had like a 20% chance of winning, and we all thought, okay, so he won't win. That doesn't mean that.
Yeah. And even stranger, in that sort of situation, people believing that he couldn't possibly win is a good thing for him because it means that people are going to underestimate him and not worry about it. So knowing that someone's not supposed to win makes them more likely to win in certain situations. Not this one. It's a race.
Yeah, but I don't know. It again, tiniest thing in the world, just bothered me.
Yeah. Weird thing to note. Well, it's I don't know how to phrase this. Would Jackson Storm have won if he hadn't just slowed down and gone to talk to her for no reason?
Maybe.
If he had not gone to assault her, wouldn't he have won?
Like, it seems like she handily caught up to him either way when she was
Yeah.
drifting on him. So I would say the implication is she could have caught him even if he was a few more car lengths ahead.
Yeah, but what if he had just like
Took
gone
it
faster
seriously.
instead?
And like, that's the whole thing. Like, she threw him off his game. She threw him off his line, and that was the big way she won. But like, yeah, I think if Jackson had just done the race normal, he probably would have won. Especially
Yeah.
since they made a car switch that there's no way it's legal to do. We've litigated this a lot in the first one, so I won't go that far. But there's no way that they only care about the number, not the racer.
Yeah, because the implication of that is the exact opposite implication of there are a lot of laps.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have a lot of laps, it becomes an endurance race. And if it's an endurance race, you can't switch out because then you could just have like 18 people sprint for a mile.
Yeah, that would remove the need for pit stops. Like a
Mm-hmm.
pit stop would just be a like swap.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah, you could
We
just have your
again,
pit stop done while the other person's already going away,
yeah,
eliminating the need entirely.
it could even just be a two-person thing while they
Mm-hmm.
like really fix you up. You eat a sandwich or something. Uh, take a sit, and then you're freshened up. You get to go. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. All
And then you
right.
just get the two best racers, put them on a team, and oh look, no one will ever win again.
Which is why I wish that Lightning had decided she should race from the beginning of the race.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
But their mixed messaging had to be there of, hey, we do have to point out that there is actually no reason for him to have to retire.
Yeah, like
We have to point out that, hey, the older guy is still probably the best.
even if he couldn't beat Jackson, which it seemed he couldn't, he was in second place for most of the race.
Mm-hmm.
He is better than all these other ones.
Yeah.
Why do we only care if he's better than Jackson?
Because I didn't purchase a loser, and everyone knows that the second place is just first loser.
Okay, whatever. I've written down an incredible line, an incredible back and forth that literally confirms a theory we have, John. Are you ready for it?
Let's do this.
Lightning says, Mater, you're brilliant. Mater replies, well, it's all about the shape of your teeth.
All right.
Yeah. Perhaps our theory we took least seriously. One we threw out there because we couldn't explain why Mater was the way he was that, well, he's got weird teeth. Maybe that is a sign or the source of his incredible powers and insight. But yet,
Well, Lucas, it's time for a fun fact of the day.
I'm ready.
Brilliant is a term used by jewelry cutters or gem cutters,
Mm-hmm.
but essentially the definition is very bright or radiant, meaning he could be saying that he is brilliant because his teeth have such a shape that they shine more than the others.
That is probably the joke. But I'm going to go with the reading that, without too much reinterpretation, basically confirms a theory we already had.
That his power comes from his teeth.
Or his teeth.
That his teeth are a sign of his power.
Yes, one of the two. So that's great. I don't have much more to say about it, but that's good for us. We did it.
Mm-hmm.
Much like when we found evidence of vampire motorcycles. It was great. It's great.
It's great.
It's great. Do you have something, or do you need me to keep going?
It's his teeth that make him a demigod, and that's weird.
No, I understand, man. I don't disagree. We said it because it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
We said it because it was dumb.
Yep. And apparently it wasn't dumb enough.
Sorry.
All right, you go ahead with your next note.
Okay. My only other thing before I get to a few random details from the credits, I don't remember the context of this. Oh yeah, it's when Cruz goes way too hard against Lightning with the smack talk and tells him she's going to put his arthritis-ridden keister into a home. Which, one, they had the correct reaction to her saying that.
Mm-hmm. That's a messed up thing to say. The dude's maybe mid to late 40s. Carthritis?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to focus on. Carthritis. Good connection, John.
Why he have carthritis? What is carthritis? Cars don't
Okay.
have joints.
They do have places where metal comes together,
Okay.
and that's where car is weak, where metal come together. I don't know what I'm talking about, so stop me when I'm wrong.
All right, so sometimes where car come together is strongest point.
Shoot. Okay. Uh rust on joint where it has to spin and or turn would be like arthritis.
I think it would be more like inflammation and a lack of lubricant, which she does point out he already has in a very weird way.
Okay.
This is going to get oil to places it hasn't been in years. If your car needs oil somewhere and it doesn't have it, do not run that vehicle. It will not last years.
Oil is very necessary for cars. I know
Mm-hmm.
very little, but I know that.
Yeah, if you don't get your fluids checked and you don't have enough fluids, your car will essentially explode. Not like in a brilliant fashion. It's just going to kind of like heat up and warp in such a way that it will stop running very quickly.
And you don't want that,
You
especially
do
if you're
not
a
want
race
that.
car.
Very true.
All right. Rest is credit stuff, which is always fun. I know you had a thing that caught you in the credits. You want to start off with that?
All right, so I was watching these credits, and then all of a sudden, I see the same skin image where Lightning gets his reskin, and it's this nice techie thing, and it's Mater instead, and it looks like the most body horror thing ever. It looks so uncomfortable. It's just this. It's Mater with skin being draped over him, and he's clearly uncomfortable, and the doctors are uncomfortable, and the skin doesn't look like it fits, and everything is just, if you imagine what this actually is, it's terrible. Because it's doctors doing a Frankenstein and putting skin on this man, and he hates it, and everyone hates it, and it's just skin draped over a body.
Yeah, at least the doctors don't seem like they've done this on purpose. They also seem concerned in the image, if I remember right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like Mater has just driven in here when he shouldn't. And everyone's going, oh god, what do we do? Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry that that apparently happened to Mater.
Yep, but also it seems like a situation he got himself into. So what do we do with that? What do we
What do
do,
we do
man?
with it, John? Okay, I'm going to read several little pun gags that they had in the credits. Two products that I think are worth mentioning. The first being kombucha fermented oils.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how you would ferment an oil because fermentation is controlled rotting,
Mm-hmm.
but they figured it out somehow.
Okay.
And the second was an advertisement for vinyl toupees, which I think we can say that Rusty and or Dusty Rusty's has one of those.
See, I don't know if it's a vinyl toupee though. It looks more just like a moldy top.
Does kind of look like a moldy top, and I do hate that. But maybe it's the other thing.
Maybe it's the other thing. But you'd figure if he just got that huge deal that he'd be able to afford a better one.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, they were two fairly humble guys who liked living below their means, from what I
Mm-hmm.
remember from our autobiography. So it checks out.
Yeah. But also fairly humble guy. Why wouldn't you just, not wear a toupee?
Yeah,
I,
who can
I
say?
understand the societal pressure and the fear that comes with hair loss.
Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and I know this is another big point we talk about with Cars 3, is the lack of a connection to
Mm-hmm.
Cars 2,
The lack of an acknowledgement of Cars 2.
which is why we are going. And it's time for, how do I do this? Wiki quote of the day.
Give me that stumble through and make it and stick the landing of the day.
Yeah, I started to do this part, which is today we're going over to worldofcarsdriving.fandom.com cars_wiki/cars_3. And we're scrolling all the way down to the section references to Cars 2. Now I saw this and I thought, oh, fantastic. This will show us that maybe we're a bit wrong about this. But no, it's mostly things like, at the beginning of the film, Mater says, "Go McQueen, woohoo!" The same line he used at the end of the second film during the Radiator Springs Grand Prix. And while on the simulator, Lightning makes the same scream from when Mater's parachute is deployed while they are traveling to Buckingham Palace. So,
Oh,
from this, the biggest acknowledgement that Cars 2 happened, the only evidence that Cars 2 happened outside of Doc dying, which I don't even count as a plot point for Cars 2 because it's acknowledged in one line and happened in between Cars and Cars 2.
and the plot point is really mostly focused on the next movie.
Yes, absolutely. But the only evidence that Cars 2 happened that I can find here is Lightning McQueen retains his real headlights, which were installed for the World Grand Prix in the previous film. And he does.
But
That's true. That's the only evidence Cars 2 happened. That is the only impact Cars 2 has on this movie. Because, they don't explain why he has headlights now in Cars 3. They just let it be. So,
see,
yeah.
I would have assumed it's because of the pressure that his girlfriend's been putting on him by insulting him by giving him a nickname in reference to his lack of headlights.
Yeah, that could be it.
If
But
you're
no.
a somewhat vain person who has a girlfriend that constantly reminds you of a thing that you could have altered about yourself, that she has a normal standard for, then yeah, maybe you're going to feel the pressure to just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's because Cars 2. So there you go. There is some connection reference to Cars 2, but man, they don't like Cars 2.
They do not want to acknowledge it.
It's part of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Just something more. Whatever. Now's the part where we give our final thoughts, I guess.
All
And
right.
you make us rate it? Is that a thing, or is that only in Origin Stories?
I don't know anymore. We don't need to
We
rate
could
it
say
again.
that's fair. Yeah, again, I think on this rewatch, I was much more critical of it. And I don't really know why, but I think it fell a little bit for me. I think it was probably a little bit ahead of Cars for my favorite of all of the Cars stuff. And now it's my second favorite behind Cars.
Okay. I think I like it better than Cars, but eh. And
Yeah.
also, I haven't watched Cars with my boy, so maybe that'll change things.
Oh, they say that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
They say it does. Well, thank you all for listening so much. We sure had a ton of fun doing it, and I hope you had a ton of fun listening to it. We're going to continue rewatching things, sort of like how we have been 100 episodes after the original. So the next one we're doing should be episode 115, where we will go back and watch Planes again. I
Bella
feel the
does not
same.
like that.
Bella, let me tell you, I feel similarly.
Mm-hmm.
But so we're giving you a real early warning if you want to also rewatch it. You don't have to. It's very bad, but just so you know. But in the meantime, we got to do some episodes in between that and after that and stuff. So if you have ideas for those, please send us those at our email, which is thechat@gmail.com. Also, remember to send in applications to replace John. I wasn't kidding. And you can also tweet at us and give us a quick follow on our Twitter, which is @thechat. All that's one word, no hyphen. Now it's John's turn.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell anyone and everyone you think might be the least bit interested in this kooky, quirky, strange little podcast. Also, rate and review, because those things might actually help. And until next time, remember to float like a Cadillac.
And sting like a beamer.